Hey everybody, welcome back to Merely on Time. Today I'm looking at the Epos 3500 SK for skeleton. This is a Swiss-made mechanical watch. It has a Swiss at a mechanical movement in it. It is absolutely beautiful. This is out of the budget range. I normally unbox and review budget watches. This one was sent to the channel by a man named Gallant, who is a marketing consultant for a bunch of different brands, including Epos. So let's get into this one. Alright, so before we dive into this one, we're going to get up close and personal, the montage that I do. But I want to take a moment to thank all of you for your tremendous support. Just this week, I surpassed 1,700 subscribers. I'm on my way to 2,000. That's the next goal, and I'm going to be giving away a beautiful San Martin watch at 2,000 subscribers. And so if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please consider doing so. And if you like the content, give me a thumbs up. It definitely helps out with all of the algorithms and whatnot. And so thank you again, everyone, for your amazing support. Now, this watch was loaned to the channel for review. In the unboxing, I said that it was a paid promotion. And my justification behind that was that this was sent to me by a person who is a marketing consultant for brands, but they're not paying me in any way for this review. And I have some real critical feedback about this watch, as you will see. So at any rate, no includes paid promotion on this video because technically I didn't have to, but just for full transparency, that's what's going on. I am returning this watch as soon as I'm done with the review. So with that, let's get up close and personal with this one. This is the Epos 3500 SK. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that up close and personal, and what I am wearing on my wrist today is the Pagani design PD1711 on this blue FKM rubber strap. So guys, I've got 3 watches here, and the reason I have these 3 watches is for doing this review and showing just some side-by-side things with this Epos watch to other watches in order to aid in some of the review elements. And so let's just begin, of course, with the specifications. This is the model 3500 SK. It is a limited edition model. The price comes in at 2,627 Canadian dollars. So this is by no means a cheap watch. This is a luxury brand. 41 millimeter case size, 10 millimeters of thickness. Your lug width is 20 millimeters, and your lug to lug is 48 millimeters. And so this really is a beautiful timepiece, and I have really enjoyed it. And this is one of the ones that just kept growing on me as I had it over the course of the past almost 2 weeks now. Since I've had this watch. So let's just look at what some of you have thought about this one. This one comes from Watching James, my pal, and he says, is it bad to say the view from the back is amazingly even better than the front of the watch? Is it wrong to say that? Well, James, let's take a look at the back of this watch, and I don't think it's wrong at all to say that. This thing really looks beautiful from the back. Of course, it is a skeletonized watch, so you've got a display case back as well. And speaking of my pal Watching James, guys, check this out. My next guest on my Beyond the Watch series is going to be James from Watching James. We're going to film that this coming Saturday. It will drop to my channel on Sunday or Monday, and I'm really excited to be talking about watches with James and to get beyond the watch to see what makes James tick. And so, yeah, he really liked the display case back, and it is absolutely awesome. Well, let's take a look at some other viewer thoughts. My pal Andre said, Epos is an interesting Swiss brand for people that are into this kind of aesthetic. This is obviously much better finished than a lot of cheap skeletonized watches. And so what I did, guys, was I brought my Maven X Visage by Forge & Foster to show that to you side by side with this Epos. And you can see that, well, you can see what Andre was talking about, that this Epos is done much better than just budget or cheaper skeletonized watches, and that is because it has something called Côtes de Genève. Now, what is that, you say? Well, I had to look it up myself, and it is one of the best known watch movement decorations, consisting of an intricate series of wave-like scratches forming parallel lines on the plates, bridges, and rotors. And so you can see, as I zoom in here, and you would have seen on the up close and personal, those wave-like scratches on the parts of the movement, and they are on the back as well. And it really does give it a refined finish. Absolutely beautiful. And you can just see in comparison side by side, none of that kind of intricate finishing work is done on a more budget-friendly model like the Forge & Foster. And finally, one more viewer thought, and this comes from Boxwood Green, and he says, I'm just not a fan of the skeleton watches. Job one is to easily see what time it is in a fast glance. These require study, and yeah, absolutely. But I must say, if you were to look at this watch is, for a skeletonized watch, incredibly legible. The watch also comes in other variations, so let me just take you to the Epos website now, and you can see that there are a number of different variations that you can get for this one. If this is something that appeals to you, I will leave a link in the description of where you can find these watches. All right, so what else are you getting for that money? Well, you are getting a solid watch here, constructed of stainless steel. You're getting a sapphire crystal covering the dial, mineral crystal covering the display case back, 50 meters of water resistance. It is a limited edition, as you can see. We have number 252 of 888 pieces that are made. You are getting a push-pull crown, but that is signed with the letter E for Epos deeply etched into that crown. And you are getting a genuine leather strap with the Epos branding on there as well. And so, yeah, what you are getting, guys, is overall, I think, a fantastic piece. So let's talk about the movement in this watch, and I want to zoom in because this is going to be a bit of a time lapse for you. You can see the watch isn't moving right now. This is a mechanical watch. There is no self-winding rotor, and so what you will have to do is wind the watch, and here is the mainspring here, and have a listen as I wind this watch and watch for the mainspring to tighten up. This is really cool. All right, so there you can see that the mainspring has now tightened up and the watch is running. Now this watch is running an ETA 6498 or a Unitas 6498 movement, and I didn't know much about this movement, and again I had to do some research, and so I went to Caliber Corner, which is a great place to go for researching watch movements and getting information about watch movements. And you can see that this is a 17 jewel Swiss-made movement, and what we're dealing with is an ETA really, and it's now called a Unitas ETA or a Unitas, same thing, 6498. And let me just scroll down and you can see the ETA Unitas caliber 6498 is part of ETA's Mecaline specialized line of movements. It is a hand wound or manual wound movement and is considered to be one of the most common mechanical calibers on the market. This is essentially a pocket watch movement that has been adopted by the wristwatch, and so that's what's running in this. And so not only is the movement decorated with that Côtes de Genève, but you would expect that the finishing on this watch would be fantastic as well. And this is where finishing on a well-made watch compared to a budget watch can be seen. Just have a look, and you would have seen in the up close and personal how satiny smooth that brushed finish is, and you can see a chamfered edge on the top of the lug leading up to some more brushing. Now just take a look at it compared to, you know, say the Forge and Foster. Now the Forge and Foster, which is a budget watch, you can see the lines for the brushing. You can actually see them quite well on my camera, not as good as in person, and there you can see them really well. You can see the lines on that brushing. On the Epos watch here, you can't really see the lines like you can. Just a beautiful satin finish on this watch, which you would expect, of course, on a watch at this price point. In comparison, the Christopher Ward watches that I have handled, which also have excellent finishing, could easily compare to this. Beautifully, beautifully finished. I mean, just look at that. So let's take a close look at this dial, the Unitas 6948 movement. I think I got the number right. It does have the ability to have a running seconds hand at the 6 o'clock, and so you can see that this one does. Roman numerals and a high polish finish all are applied around the outer edge of that dial on what appears to be essentially a plastic ring, I would say. Epos Switzerland branded underneath the Roman numeral 12. And one of the reasons I think that this watch is so legible is because of that little bit of a blue pop on the outer part of the dial, but also because the hands, if you look at the handset, the hour and a minute hand, not only do they have Lume fill, but they are nicely polished surfaces on the outside, in contrast to the brushed or scratched surfaces of the Geneva stripes or Côtes de Genève that are on the movement itself. And so even though Boxwood Green says for skeleton watches you have to study them to know the time, I think you can see from this particular piece that it's very, very legible for a skeletonized watch, which really makes this one a pleasure to wear on the wrist because you can see the elements of the watch running, which is obviously what you want for a skeletonized watch, but you can also tell the time very easily on this one. And so, boy, there's just a lot of really wonderful things to say about this piece, but you know, every rose has its thorn, and so I do want to talk about some of the things that I think could have been done to make this watch even better. Let me talk about one of the subjective ones first, and that is the large gap that is there in the movement at the 10 o'clock. Now let me take you back to the website. You can see from the Caliber Corner website, the original movement actually doesn't have a gap around that dial. Okay, they are missing a piece of the movement, and they have done this obviously intentionally, but I think it would have been better for them to have that piece to cover that gap. Just because personally I don't like to see, you know, my hair through the watch. The movement itself, this is something that is going to potentially bother some people. This particular movement, when it is running, you can hear it. Now it does vibrate at 18,800 vibrations per hour, but I'm just going to put it up to the microphone, and hopefully it'll give you an idea of what it sounds like. If you wear it at night, you're definitely going to hear this piece, and if you're sitting in a quiet place, even quietly watching TV, I noticed that I could hear it ticking. So have a listen to it here. I'm going to put it right up to my mic. I'm not sure if that helped, if you could hear it or not, but you definitely can hear the ticking, and that might be a bit of an annoyance for some people. The branding on the side. My buddy Bill Callum from the east coast of Canada, he said he would do without the numbers being plated on the side of the case. That's something that's definitely going to be off-putting to some. Wasn't really to me, but you know, it's worth mentioning because lots of people don't like extra branding on their cases, and this one certainly has it. The other real point of criticism for this watch is this strap. Now, the reason that I brought my Orient Bambino, as you can see it here, is because I would compare the strap that came on this watch somewhat with the strap that came on this Orient watch. This is certainly not a premium leather that they have chosen to put on the Epos, and the feel of this is very similar to this Orient watch, which is a $200 watch roughly. And on a $2,000 watch, you want the feel and quality of the leather to be much better than the one that was supplied on this particular model. Now, one of the things that they did an awesome job on is the lume, you know, for a dress piece, and that's what this is. Typically for a dress piece, you don't expect the lume to be very good, and I must say the lume on this is absolutely fantastic. You know, you have Swiss Superluminova on it, and on these time-lapse videos that I do, basically lume that lasts 15 to 20 minutes is good. Lume that lasts the 20-minute mark and beyond is really, really good. It's excellent lume. You can see we're passing the 15-minute mark now, and that hour and minute hand are super legible, and even as we come up to the 20-minute mark, they are still visible on the camera. And so the lume on this watch is fantastic, and at the price point, good to see. And this is what the watch looks like on my 7.5-inch wrist. I forgot to mention the beautiful polish and deep etched Epos branding on the buckle there, but this really is a watch that I just kept getting drawn to wear especially when I was home. Obviously, I mentioned I wasn't going to wear it at work, but this is just gorgeous. It really is. Some things that they could have done to make it even better, but overall, I think this really is an absolute stunner. Would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching another review, guys. That's the Unitas 3500 SK. Coming up on the channel, my conversation with Watching James will drop in about a week's time. I'm filming this on Monday. I have my conversation with James Saturday night, and so stay tuned later on this weekend for my conversation with Watching James. Thanks so much, guys, for all of your support. Hit the thumbs up button for me, comment below, and remember, whenever you leave your house, you must have a great looking piece to wear on your wrist, like this Epos 3500 SK. And remember, wherever you're going, you need to get there on time. God bless you guys. We'll see you in the next one.